Oh, hello there. Yes, well, I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey, and Wednesday too. Yeah, it's kind of the forecast, isn't it? Yes, I mean, there's the new Sparks album out, which if you haven't bought it yet, you should, because it's Sparks and they're rather good, and they're not going to be with us for an awful lot longer, I don't think, which is a shame. Anyway, sign of the time. I was waiting for the bus the other day and I saw this, which is either a sign of them, well, rogue youth that aren't voting reform being radicalised by stuff online, or maybe it just is that Gary is economic. Ah, yes. Unlikely, though. Let's face it, you don't really meet people under, 50 who are called Gary, or same with Graham and those kind of names. You don't even meet Johns these days, or Daves, do you? Don't have Daves. Don't have 10-year-old Daves, do you? No. Anyway, moving on to the meat of the matter, I was intrigued, I tell you, by this from Rupert Lowe, sort of frothing at the mouth a couple of days ago. I'm getting rather fed up with Britain being pathetically humiliated. It didn't used to be like this, and it doesn't have to be like this. What's the appropriate diplomatic response if somebody wants our territory? Sod off. Yes, barely suppressed rage there from the man himself, but a few things about that. I'm absolutely convinced that 99.76% of the British population don't give a flying one about the Chagos Islands, and I don't believe that the vast majority of people that are posting about it online, from the Conservative and the Reform Party naturally, could actually find it on a map, certainly not in a hurry. Isn't it somewhere in the Indian Ocean? I don't know. I remind you of an apocryphal story of the Sun newspaper during the Tiananmen Square disturbances, one might say, in the late 1980s, who wanted to send a reporter there because, they thought they might be actually do something, called news and get someone on the ground. Anyway, they didn't send anyone because the map on the wall they had, they couldn't find where Beijing was. Yes, old map on the wall. It had Peking on it, didn't it? Yeah, but I do believe that is actually true, although I can't confirm it. But the whole thing about being ritually humiliated, I mean, Rupert Lowe is a few years older than me, cough cough, so he would have missed Suez, which was the first of our enormous post-war ritual humiliations. I would suggest that there are loads of other ones of them. I mean, you can think about the British flag being pulled down throughout the 1960s, 1970s and 1980s in terms of us, effectively handing over dominion to, the locals. Oh, just to completely make a mess of it and be miserable because we weren't there anymore. Of course. But there was no greater humiliation, realistically, than the Argentines just deciding to stroll into the Falkland Islands. That was a biggie, which everyone conveniently has forgotten about. And we can roll on to various other ones as well. I would strongly suggest that our involvement in the Iraq War was a bit of a national humiliation. Certainly 20 years in Afghanistan with nothing to show from it apart from 500 dead squaddies and a whole bunch of other people sitting in shop doorways with PTSD and lacking limbs. That one was a bit of a national humiliation. And in terms of things that Rupert himself has definitely supported, I would go with Brexit, which caused us on the national stage to be an absolute laughingstock. Yes, I'm sure you can recall back to those times about people just finding it astounding that a country such as ourselves would effectively cock the gun and shoot our own foot off. Still, what's the appropriate response to that? I don't know. Certainly not voting for whatever MP's independent right-wing nut party that he's going to belong to next. Speaking of which, I mean, this whole thing about this warped idea that we get about what exactly is news. Now, the Chagos Island deal isn't it, because, let's face it, it was basically what the Tories had negotiated anyway. But we get this in the Daily Telegraph that are desperate to keep this story going. Why does only Trump care about the killing of white South Africans? I would have thought that is a question with a blindingly obvious answer. The US president got his facts wrong, which isn't a good way to start the article, but the growing death toll should not be trivialised. And again, it got me thinking back to the 1980s when, South Africa was a crime-ridden hellhole. And then there was the 90s when South Africa was a crime-ridden hellhole. And so it's gone on. It has an enormously high crime rate, but it's not really a genocide, is it? And if you are thinking about places with very high crime rates, it's likely that those people that are most wealthy are going to be targeted. Sorry, I can't realistically be enthused by that one. Yeah, the US president got its facts wrong. Yeah, the Daily Telegraph regularly get its facts wrong. But of course, then we have to care about these things. It's vitally important that a tiny number of people in a country far, far away, of which we don't really have to give a flying fart about, are being killed. And anyway, that whole thing about interfering in other people's countries, which we'll come back to, and probably Brexit and sovereignty. The free speech merchants were out in force one way or another, because there was a story about a poor unfortunate who was holding up a sign about Hamas that got arrested. And, you know, all of the free speech merchants were jumping up and down about that, because it's definitely policing, and oh, isn't it awful? And all the facts of policing and two-tier, awful, isn't it? And white people, oh, jobs, white people, jobs not allowed, oh, DEI, all that stuff. And yet, rumbling around at exactly the same time for about the last week or so, not quite a week, is Peter Tatchell, who got arrested for holding a sign. But of course, Peter Tatchell is the wrong person to be arrested, because then it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of like, oh, he's got, oh, look at his sign, it's got both about Israel and Hamas on it. Oh no! Imagine being a person that thinks that generally killing people's a bad idea. I mean, we can't have that, can we? Because then we can't jump down and down about one group of people being bad. You know, the people we don't like, the people with the bad religion and the bad amount of melatonin in their skin. And of course, yeah, all the free speech merchants were simply ignoring it. But then, you know, we have all the glories of Lord Young's boys, Lord Young, suggesting that somehow the Americans interfering in Lucy Connolly's case in the UK is absolutely fine. Yeah. Yes. Oh, and now she's become a political prisoner, hasn't she? Yes. Concerned about human rights abuses in the UK. Well, yeah, we should be concerned about human rights abuses in the UK, because they still do exist. Just yesterday I was intrigued by this, which you won't see anywhere else from The Guardian, which is simple crime statistics about how much more likely you are to get done over by the police if you're black. I know, it doesn't quite fit the narrative, does it? Because, of course, all those Met police officers in the last 5 years have suddenly gone from being nasty racists and sort of violent sex offenders to simply being gay wokists who are very, very keen on getting trans people to strip search you. Or something. Anyway, it doesn't get any better with the British media, does it? Still, never mind, eh? Never mind, I'm sure they'll get their own way. Get those tax cuts in. That'll soon get the economy booming, won't it? Yes, that'll be very, very important. Get those faux tears out for all those disabled people that have to shuffle off this mortal coil because they're superfluous to need. Yeah, unless it's the right government doing it, in which case it's okay, isn't it? That's okay, yeah, we'll bang on about human rights abuses. Not yours, though, obviously.